Good morning, Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Good morning. It is the 27th, May 27th, almost June here. It's early in the morning. It's about 6:20 a.m. I'm not sure how many people are going to log on at 6:20 a.m., but we never know. But this content is available all day long, all week long, all month long. In fact, this content is permanently available, so you can go back and watch it anytime. And there goes my notification that I'm alive. That I'm live. Of course, I am alive, but then I'm live on Facebook. So we just get a couple people joining in. But of course, the replays are available on YouTube, and the replays are available here on Facebook. We're actually going to do a link um, from our website because we can now put all the lives in one place on our Facebook page, which is really cool. It's a new feature from Facebook. They allow us to put all of our Facebooks, all of our lives. They've actually categorized, but now they put a tab and a URL like facebook.com/green restaurant/live, I think. But we're going to share that. We're going to share that live link out there. And I want to talk about salmon this morning. And the reason I want to talk about salmon is we're going to have a big salmon sale next week. Wild salmon is in season. The salmon are running in Alaska. They're doing their thing in Alaska. They're not quite doing their thing in British Columbia, south of Alaska, and it's unfortunate. I'm going to tell you why today. Very well known marine biologist Alexandra Morton knew this 30, 40 years ago, and it's been denied. It's been denied by the Canadian government, covered up by the seafood and fish ministries in Canada. But there keeps getting reported, just keeps getting denied. And Alexandra Morton has done some really great work about the PRV, the virus, Piscine or retrovirus, PRV, and article was just published, literally 12 hours ago. Breaking news article published that this stuff is getting into the wild salmon from the farm salmon and killing off the wild salmon. But of course, the locals have known that for many, many years. So before I jump into that, starting next week, I'm not sure the date. It starts on Monday, I believe. Let me just grab the date here. We're having, Monday. So starting Monday the 31st, starting Memorial Day, until the following Sunday, until the 6th. Memorial Day, the 31st until June 6th, we are having a wild salmon blowout. 10-pound cases of wild salmon, $150. Our best price ever on that, ever. And that's happening starting this Monday. You need to pre-order that. That needs to be a pre-order. Um, our distributor's sitting on about 1,000 pounds right now, and last year for the pandemic we sold 500 pounds the first week. So we have a potential to sell a lot. This is wild salmon that you can put on your grill, that you can make pan sear, you can roast off. This is wild salmon that you want to put in your. It comes frozen, so you put it right in your freezer. It's 10 pounds, and you have 27 portions in there. If you cut them in half, you have 54 portions, depending upon the size you're looking for. But there's 6-ounce portions. There's 27 or so, 24, whatever it is, in the box. Put it in your freezer and pull it out as you need it all summer long. Great, great grilling fish, and just an amazing fish to begin with. A very healthy, nutritious, and very, very sustainable, coming from Alaska. So that is, if you want to get on that, email us right away, info@aromatimebistro.com, or drop a message here and we'll get back to you. But ideally, you want to call us and order that 647-3000, or email us info. Let me just type that right on in here. We can do that. To order wild salmon, info@aromatimebistro.com. $150 for 10 pounds. There we go. So that's the deal. Right now, I think it's like 170, 180, something. And if you went online to order it, if you went online to Alaska Gold, our supplier, or any of the other ones, you would probably literally pay $250 by the time it's shipped to you and things like that. So at least that's the situation with that. We have the best price out there going on wild salmon. We always have. We use a lot of wild salmon here. All right, so let's jump into current news. Switch tabs here. So we were at a restaurant last week in Martha's Vineyard, and the menu said wild salmon. So I said to the waitress, I said, "Oh, wild salmon, where's it from?" She goes, "Oh, the Faroe Islands." I go, "That's wild." She goes, "Well, it's kind of raised in the wild," which is the standard line that Faroe Islands does, kind of raised in the wild. And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "That's not real wild salmon, though." And she goes, "Well, the chef said it's like wild salmon." I said, "No, no, it's either wild salmon or it's not wild salmon." I kindly called the restaurant on Monday and let the manager know. Just suggesting you relabel that. This is what I was told. Is that true? He goes, "Yeah, that's true." I go, "Well, it's not true. It's true to you, but it's not true. And here's the exact on it. I hope you remove that so you don't mislead people anymore. I hope that they do that. I'm gonna follow up with them in 2 weeks." I used to call a lot of restaurants. I used to do that at one point. I had that food fraud channel, and I was exposing restaurants out there for doing that because I just feel it's very, very, very wrong to mislead consumers. I mean, everybody deserves better. Everybody deserves better than being lied to, and the chef knows it because they're like, "Well, it's kind of wild." No, it's not kind of wild. It's not. It's farmed. It's farmed in the wild. Farmed in the wild is like a trademarked name. Farmed in the wild. They put all the farms in the wild. That's where they put salmon farms. They put them out in the bays, in the oceans. It's all considered wild. So this one salmon farmer, the Faroe Islands, kind of trademarked that. Raised in the wild. Not true, folks. In fact, Faroe Island salmon are just toxic Atlantic farm salmon, just like Scottish. It's not too far from Scotland. It's the same stuff. You throw 100,000 fish in a pen. They crap all over each other. They spread disease, lice, high mortality rates. 2 out of 10 fish die because the fish tank's polluted. You put goldfish in a polluted fish tank. What happens? The goldfish die, right? You wouldn't look at goldfish and be like, "Wow, those goldfish are sick. The water's murky, and the fish are dying in there. But let me just feed those goldfish to my cat. My cat would probably enjoy those goldfish. Let me cook them up. They're near death." That's what's happening with these salmon farms. Those fish are near death, and they're dying. And if they're, and the 80%, the 75% that are living, the 70% that live are the stuff that you're getting. But the fish are dying all around this fish in these murky, disgusting waters. Folks, do not eat farmed salmon. Do not eat farmed salmon. It is the world's most toxic food. It is just terrible. It is disgusting. And all salmon farms are the same like that. All open pen salmon farms. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. All right. So there's no right way to walk on glass barefoot. You're going to get cut, right? So they might have a better technique. You might say, "Oh, well, our glass is special, and we're just going to walk barefoot." Don't walk barefoot on glass. Don't eat farm salmon. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. All right. All right. So this is from CBC.ca. So it's a Canadian company. This is 12 hours old, right off the press. Farmed fish, the source of virus spread among wild salmon, BC study suggests. Wow, they're just a little behind, 30 years. Industry group disagrees, saying the Piscine erythrovirus was in BC waters before salmon farms. Folks, the salmon farms brought it from Norway. But here, let's jump into this article. Evidence shows that the debilitating virus found in British Columbia salmon was transferred from Atlantic fish farms, which then spread from Pacific aquaculture operations into wild fish, says a study published Wednesday. So, folks, they have to deny this. The salmon industry has to, the farming industry, that's their job, is to deny stuff like this, because this is going to devastate them. So their job, they pay people just to totally deny this. The fish ministries denies it. The people in charge, there's a great documentary on my YouTube channel about farm salmon. There's lots of really other good work out there on farm salmon. They go and interview these people, the seafood ministries, and these people are just flat out in bed representing the farm salmon industries. That's how they get appointed to those positions. That's special interests, and their job is to totally deny this, just like all other government things and all kinds of agencies and stuff like this. They're all useless because they all have government. They all have big businesses in them. I've told this story before. Years ago, in 1999, when I was in Colorado, I was nominated to the Organic Standards Board. I had some nominations from Colorado. I had nominations for James Beard Rising Chef of the Year and everything. I had some really great accolades building in Colorado. And somebody said to me, they go, Marcus, you'll never get on that organic board. I was like, really? They're like, you'll never get. I was 29 at the time. They're like, you're doing great things. You start doing awesome things here. People, you're getting noticed. But that organic standards boards is for somebody from Purdue Chicken, so they can get in there and figure out how Purdue Chicken can make organic chicken and cut every single corner to make organic chicken. And it's for those big, massive growers and producers. They're the ones who get on the board because they're the ones with the most money at stake, and they're going to make sure that they get on these boards. Because if somebody from Purdue gets on there and they can manipulate the organic standards, you talk to a lot of farmers and they can't stand the organic standards. These local farmers are like, well, no, I'm not going to pay for that crap. What do you mean certified organic? You talk to farmers, and there's a lot of farmers that are like, no way. But I do organic, and I do better than organic, and I don't pay the fees for it because the organic standards are infiltrated by big business. Now, is it better than having any standards? No, I think there's some good to it, and supporting organic is the way to go. So every time you support organic, real organic, you're supporting a future. But that's how all this works. So these people, the seafood ministries in Canada, their job is to 100% deny this, protect their special interests, the industries they represent, the companies they represent, and that's it. So, evidence shows the researchers used a genome sequencing to trace the Piscine or erythrovirus PRV that they first say was introduced to BC waters from Norway about 30 years ago. Wow, wasn't that the start of the farm salmon industry there heavily? 30 years ago, at the start of the open pen aquaculture in the province. Now, when this happened, Alexandra Morton, she raised her hands and said, stop this. You cannot put farmed salmon. You cannot put farmed salmon pens in the migratory path of wild salmon. You're going to kill off the population. You can't do it. Nobody listened to her. Nobody listened to her. She went everywhere she possibly could, raised a big stink, and said, you can't do this. So, the study published in the peer-reviewed journal Science Advances says the evidence now suggests the virus is continuously spread between farmed and wild Pacific salmon as they migrate past the farms. PRV, which devastated salmon farms in Norway, is a disease linked to heart and skeletal muscle inflammation in farmed salmon and kidney and liver damage in wild British Columbia salmon. Now, in the meantime, this study is saying, it's a peer-reviewed study, this study is saying that it's been there 30 years. The seafood ministries have been denying this for 30 years in Canada, denying it, flat out denying it. Alexandra Morton has gone to the grocery store, picked up local farm salmon in the grocery store, salmon that's already processed, sitting there, the fillets, the whole salmon. She takes it and gets it tested, and it tests positive. She's been doing this for years, and it tests positive. This is on her documentary. This is on her work. It tests positive. She then says, here you go, seafood ministries. I'm like, no, we're not accepting that. That's not right. That's not right. And they turn her down every single time she gets turned down. So, and they think she's crazy. And other people too, they're telling them they're crazy, that this is not true, that there's mistakes in the testing, this and that. So here's this peer-reviewed study. The research was conducted by experts from the University of British Columbia and the Strategic Salmon Health Initiative, a partnership of Fisheries and Oceans Canada, Genome BC, and the Pacific Salmon Foundation. Folks, Pacific salmon in British Columbia has dwindled down to virtually nothing. That's because of the salmon farms killing them off. As a chef 30 years ago, I remember 30 years ago, even 25 years ago, I could look on a list. And say, do I want Stikine River, Taku River, Copper River? Do I want British Columbia salmon? Do I want Alaskan salmon? And there was always a choice. You can get wild British Columbian salmon from BC, and that's not an option anymore. Those aren't on chef lists anymore. Very, very, very rarely can you buy British Columbia salmon, true wild British Columbia salmon. It's the catches aren't there. The migration's not there. The spawning's not there because the salmon farms are in the way. Alaska has 0 salmon farms, folks. Alaska, in their state constitution, says no salmon farms whatsoever. So, and Alaska, as I reported last week, is having another record-breaking year for salmon. So what's wrong with British Columbia, just south of Alaska, and so these obviously British Columbia, Alaska, are next to each other. Why is there such a big difference? Do you think it's the salmon farms? Does any of these experts, can they correlate the salmon farms are killing off? And one of the salmon farms in the British Columbia, their tagline is saving wild salmon one fish at a time. Every wild farm salmon fish you save wild. This is they brainwash these chefs with this crap. These chefs can't think for themselves and go on and do their own research. Then they pass it on to you guys. As, oh, this is sustainable farm salmon. No, it's crap, toxic farm salmon. That's it. It's crap. And these chefs are out there, well, this is different. This is Faroe Island. This is Scottish. It's not. It's farmed Atlantic salmon. Whether it's in the Pacific or it's in the Atlantic, the species is Atlantic. It's farmed. Sometimes they farm king salmon, but it's farmed open pen salmon. It has a lot of environmental detriments to it. It has a lot of health consequences to you and to the fish. It is not good for anything, and it kills off the wild salmon, which now kills off the jobs of all the fishermen. These people in British Columbia, the natives, the First Nations, they no longer have jobs. They no longer have vibrant jobs, sustainable jobs fishing, because the fish are gone. Alexandra Morton told us in one of our last interviews 2 years ago, she goes, Marcus, the bears run frantically in the fall time because they know they haven't eaten enough food. They haven't built enough fat reserves. They're starving. The bears are starving, going into hibernation because there's no salmon running up the rivers for them to eat the salmon. The bears are and you can see pictures of this on the internet. There's starving bears. Bears are dying because of this. And yet it's all about greed. It's all about greed, corporate greed from these Norwegian salmon farms that just bought the Canadian government, the seafood ministries denying everything, and things just moving forward. And these are things that a lot of us just never know. Chefs don't even know this because they don't do the research. 2-3 years ago, the First Nations occupied salmon farms. They occupied salmon farms. They sat there protesting on the salmon farms. The water rights are from the First Nations there, and some of these salmon farms are in there illegally. They're in there illegally. They don't have the proper water rights, and the First Nations are trying to get these salmon farms out. Washington State has smartened up, and 2 years ago, after one of the really big releases, not a release on purpose, but escaped one of the escape episodes where hundreds of thousands of farmed Atlantic salmon went into the Pacific Ocean to further spread the disease and compete for a food source. And these salmon never reproduce because they're just not genetically fit to reproduce. They got released by accident. It was a breakage in the nets, and they all swam into the ocean and into the bay. After that last one happened, Washington State said, okay, once your leases are up, folks, there's no more re-signing leases. So finish out what your lease is, and then that's it. No more open pen aquaculture. Open pen. There's other types of aquaculture, but not open pen. Open pen is where they throw nets into the ocean, and it has a frame on the top of it, just like a frame tent. And so it has a frame on the top of it. You can walk around it on some of these, and they just drop all the salmon in these open pens. So other species, smaller species, can swim through the nets because the nets have the holes in them, so the farm salmon can't get out. But other species can get in, and what happens is the baby tiny fish fry, the baby fish, the salmon, they can swim in and out of those nets freely. Well, what happens when you're swimming next to filth and toxicity and lice and PRV, the piscine virus? It's going to spread, right? That's the number one way this stuff's going to spread. And these baby fish have zero shot of surviving. Once one sea lice start attaching to them, they have zero chance of surviving, and that's going to kill them off right there. They don't have to get anything else. They don't have to get any kind of virus or anything. That's going to kill them off right there. They are totally 100% doomed. Now, the interesting thing is sea lice don't live in fresh water. So as the wild salmon swim past the farms to go spawn, the sea lice attach to the adults. As soon as they enter the mouth of the river, the fresh water kills off, the brackish water will kill off the sea lice, and then there you go, and the sea lice die. But the salmon farms don't do that. Instead, they put a chemical out there called slice, 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 and slice is a really harsh chemical that they dump into the farms to kill off the sea lice. So it's been reported that after some of these slice applications, that all the lobsters in the bays. I spoke to a lobsterman 2 years ago. they're having drastic problems in Newfoundland because of the salmon farms there and the runoff of all of the spewing out of all the toxic stuff and the chemicals they use. Things are dying in the bay. Other species are dying in the bay. But this is all about corporate greed, folks. Corporate greed, corporate greed. So that really sums up the article on the Piscine virus in British Columbia. So farm salmon, folks, it's all the same. Open pen farm salmon, it's all the same. I don't care what fancy chef is up there, Rick Moon. I don't care who's up there. And I went to debate Rick Moon at his restaurant in Vegas 3 years ago. He knew I was coming because he knows what he's doing. Is just wrong supporting farm salmon. Martha Stewart too. I wish I could see Martha Stewart and ask her, because she goes on and really loves True North farmed salmon, loves it. And she does some BS thing where she goes out on the boat. This is my home in Maine, and these are the salmon farms. Look how beautiful they are, and this and that. Well, Martha, stick your head in the water and take a look at what's really going on down under there, and educate yourself and stop misleading consumers. These people are taking money, because that's the way this is done. Money, 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 right? These people sell their souls out for money, for sponsorships and everything. And I hope I never do that. I hope I never do that. I mean, people have offered me money for certain things. I'm like, no, that's just not us, not us. And these companies, I'm sure, throw these chefs lots of money in front of them. Martha Stewart got lots of money for that. That's what these companies do. That's what they're good at: bribing, manipulating, and polluting, and lying. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Our farm salmon sale, if you want in, email us, info@aromatimebistro.com. $150, 10-pound cases of wild coho salmon, all line caught, not even net caught. We're not serving cheap net caught salmon. It's line caught salmon. Alaskan salmon is awesome. A lot of Alaskan salmon is a net caught that sits in the nets. It suffers. It gets beat up, stressed out. The quality is diminished. It's still wild, still awesome fish, but there's a couple different levels of salmon from Alaska. We always 100% of the time, always serve line caught salmon. Less stress, one hook, one line. It's also called troll caught. Far superior quality than other wild salmons. So that's the story with that. So if only people who complained about the price of our salmon actually knew my passion and my research, and the salmon that we actually serve. Then the people that know this are like, your salmon's cheap, your salmon's really inexpensive. We're going to your restaurant any day to pay that price for your salmon. Why go to another restaurant and pay almost the same price for toxic farm salmon? We have a lot of people that understand, but some people don't. They're like, oh, you're expensive. Well, watch a couple of my videos and find out. All right, folks, that is it. Special of the week is our... what is our special of the week? Oh, beef teriyaki tips. $9.99 beef teriyaki tips. These are filet tips. These are not sirloin tri-tips. These are not other kinds of sirloin tips. These are filet mignon, the trimming from the filet mignon. These are beef filet tips. The real deal. Beef filet tips are super tender. Beef teriyaki with organic brown rice and broccoli. Our house-made organic teriyaki sauce. It is $9.99. $9.99 for takeout only, and we're still running our 2 ribeye specials. 2 ribeyes and a bottle of wine. I have to go pick up ribeyes today or tomorrow. We got more ribeyes coming in. They were actually on sale a little bit, 50 cents off a pound. So I will take that whenever we get it, because that adds up. All that kind of stuff adds up. So, and Jazz next week in the garden. Jamie's dropping a thing now. Jazz in the garden next week. June 3rd, John, Simon, and friends are back in our garden. That's exciting. Come out and support them. This is not a regular thing as of yet. I will tell you, the finances did not quite work out the last time we did it. So we just have to make sure this is successful and moving forward financially. We have to really kind of watch everything. The pandemic taught us a lot about business, and taught us a lot. And we just have to be careful with overspending and things like that. So, but we will give it a shot and keep going, and hopefully it works out, so that John Simon can be here back on a regular basis in the garden. So, of course, inside the restaurant, we only have 7 tables, and to give it up for music and then pay the musician, that's a losing equation when we've been busy. Folks, we are up this year Like Sunday, this last Sunday, we were up 80% versus last year. That Sunday, 80%. And I know last year was the pandemic, but we did a lot of takeout last year, right? Last year was a lot of takeout. I mean, we were packed with takeout. Already this year, we're up, I don't know, 70, almost 70%. We're up versus last year, year to date. And last year was our best year, top revenue wise. We busted our butts. We served a lot of food, a lot of to-go food, very innovative. So this year is turning out to be very, very, very good as well. And we're still working our butts off and still trying to provide amazing value of food and educate everybody and keep everybody healthy and fed well. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it, Jim, and I really, really appreciate it. So does the staff. And that's it, folks. Have an amazing day, and check for an email coming out on that wild salmon. It'll be in an email probably today or tomorrow. We'll start posting some images on Facebook and things like that. Share this video with a chef who thinks that their Faroe Island salmon or any of their farm salmon is better or okay to serve. Share this video with a chef. Share any of my salmon videos. If you go actually onto my YouTube channel, there's a lot of farm salmon videos on there, wild salmon videos that can educate chefs even more on this. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.